Welcome back to part two. Tony Currie is our very special guest here on Sheffield Live TV. I mean, we went back, 45 years in part one, and we relived that famous game against West Ham United. We're going to come more up to date now in part two. The words icon and iconic are being used quite a lot on this show, and they just involve football, because I'm just looking behind you, Tony. I'm just looking at the wall behind you there.
What, Mrs. Munro? Miss Munro?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Miss Munro.
Yeah, we've got a few things of Marilyn's decorating the place. It's the wife likes Marilyn. They're nice. They're nice pictures. Nice pictures in a glass surround.
Very tasteful. Very good to the eye. A couple of legends there in one room, and the TC top as well, which has probably stood the test of time as well, I imagine, has it?
No. This was bought by my daughter for last Christmas. She thought it'd be nice because it's very, very similar to what we used to wear in the 70s as a sweat top under the tracksuit. But I tell you what I have got, and I come across it a few years ago. My old towel. With me training number. I was always number 26, right? Yeah. And it's got 26, and it's a red towel, a bit darker than this colour, and I've still got that, and it's still, I could still have a shower with it. It once Liz gets the dust off it with a wash. It's fabulous. I mean, I'm one of them that kept everything. You know, poor old Lem Badger. He didn't bother keeping things, or he's given most of his stuff away, I think, without thinking about perhaps hand-me-downs and that to the family. But I've got all sorts of things, ties from abroad on trips, you know, tie pins, badges, pennants. I've got all sorts of little trains from Russia, them little dolls that fit inside each other. What do you call them? Them Russian dolls. I've got them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All sorts of things. Loads of stuff I've got. Garrett, you know, it's just that's me. We've got all sorts of things.
Well, one day, and many years into the future, I think there's going to be a Tony Currie memorial museum then, because people will come in and raid your house and pick up.
Don't say that. Oh dear. No. Well, obviously, one day there might be a memorial. Let's hope it's not for quite a number of years yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always gone with the view that we should honour people while they're here, and not later. But as you say, you're a spring chicken. I was going to give your age, but I'm not going to give your age. You're not that much older than me, actually. So that's the reason I'm not going to give your age. There's not a massive number of years in it, but we are going to talk about football 2020. Bit sad at the moment with no supporters, but hopefully we can get over the hump and get people back in. Is it a game that you still enjoy as much as ever? It evolves, doesn't it? And it seems to me that nearly everybody's trying to play now, rightly or wrongly. Nearly everybody's trying to develop moves from the back. Is that right or is that wrong? What do you think?
Yeah. You mean playing from the back? Is that what you said? Yeah. I mean, when you look at the stats from last season, and you see that Van Dijk and Harry Maguire were in the top 5 who had the most touches in a game for the season, it tells you something, doesn't it? You know, they like to play it sideways and then, you know, into midfield, get it back sideways again, keep possession. And it's boring.
Well, there we are in one word. It can be. I mean, it can be. But I suppose if Liverpool or Manchester City are playing it, they've got the players to play it, and it's not boring.
Yeah, well, it just takes so long to get up there. I mean, I'm not. I watch our games all the way through, but any other game that I want to watch, I video them, and I can get them over within 25 minutes, half an hour, because I fast forward blooming, trainers, the injuries, the throw-ins, the free kicks, everything seems to take an age. And I've always been impatient as it is anyway. So I just have to do that for my own, for my own mentality, I suppose. Yeah, they do build up from the back a lot, and possession is the number one thing. Obviously, if you've got the ball, the other team can't do anything with it. So yeah, I can understand that, and everybody can play now. I mean, can you imagine Eddie Cologne wanting the ball and getting it and spraying it about and things like that? He was there as a fantastic. He was a speed merchant. Nobody got past him. He'd kick his own family head, and he was great in the air. Scottish international in the end, and but he weren't a ball player. Whereas they all are now, and football's evolved, isn't it? Hasn't it? And the teams that can do that better are the teams that are going to win and qualify for Europe.
Yeah, you can't imagine John Flynn playing from the back either, for that matter.
No, I'm Flynn. I used to shout at Flinny. I'd say, "Give me it now. You don't need it. Give me it now."
Well, people glory in the moves and the passing from your era. Well, a lot of it you orchestrated without trying to sort of bull you too much. But it went quickly forward, because my memory is the ball would be rolled out by the keeper or knocked out by the keeper. You'd be in either the left back or the right back position, and you ping a 40-yard pass, which invariably to Woody, which would set you moving forwards in the opposition half. So there's long ball and there's long ball, it seems to me.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, there's no point in just whacking it up there and hoping. I mean, there were teams like that, and there are now that just ump it up there and playing in the last third, and try and win the ball back from there. But I mean, I can only speak for myself, and if Woody was tightly marked, there's no way I'd play him, or else I'd play it over the top. And he was just great in knowing that I was going to do that, and he'd get half a yard or a yard on the fullback, and he was through. So that was why we had such the telepathy and stuff like that. But no, there's teams that can play and teams that think they can play, and as I said, the top teams, the cream comes to the top, and they're the ones that will win the trophies, the ones with the best players and the most money.
Well, we'll come to money in a minute. One thing that strikes me about Chris Wilder's teams, he has build-ups coming from the back, but it's fairly brisk and it's businesslike and it's progressive, and he's looking to get forward quite quickly. It's been a joy to watch. This is the old question that you're always getting asked, where do you pitch, say, the team of last season and the football we've seen and we hope to see again this season against your team and your era? Where do you pitch the two and the comparison, and which is better?
Well, you can't really, because the pitches are so much different now. I mean, would we have all the players that can actually see if you've got a pitch that, let's say, our team in the 70s, we would have played more of a possession thing in training. We'd have done that, but because of the pitches, you had to move the ball, further up. It's difficult to explain, but I know if we'd have been in this day and age, we'd have adapted to how we could play on a pitch. You liken it to Wembley, and you play on it every game. every game is like that. We only played about 5 or 6 games in our time, and then there was a diamond. There was just wings. That's why we had wingers in them days, and you know, it was difficult to play. If you look at these old retro games. I mean, they say retro games now, and they're 1990s.
Yeah, I know. Seems like
it's as though it's as though football was never invented until the Premier League came along. But we are talking about the 70s, so you know, it's difficult to say. But we would have adapted, like the 40s and 50s team would have adapted to the 70s.
Yeah,
they would have adapted in the conditions of what they were, and the fitness and the diets and the training and things like that. So, you know, everybody would have adapted in certain eras. So, but this team is a joy to watch. It has been a joy to watch, and I'm very critical, but there's nothing to criticise since Chris Wilder's been here. Nothing at all. The teams have been brilliant. The players have played their parts. To watch 3 or 4 flying wing backs, Jack O'Connell and joining in with Flecky and Ender, and on the other side Bash and George, and it's just been phenomenal to watch. It's been, I mean, I'm shivering now. I've got a little shiver on now, thinking it's just been absolutely fabulous. And long may it continue, because being in the Premier League is what the supporters deserve, and it's what Chris Wilder deserves. And the players, obviously, they've got us there, and they're the ones that deserve it. And good luck to them.
Just like to develop, if we can, a point you made in part 1, where you mentioned Sander Berge, the Sheffield United record signing.
Is it Berger or is it Berg?
I am told it's Berger. That's the way he, in his homeland, would have it pronounced. And there was a lot of confusion. I wasn't sure either, but I think most broadcasters have agreed that it's Berger. But I don't mind how you say it, Tony.
No.
So take.
I mean, obviously, if I hadn't have been locked in, then I'd have got to know him better. Like I know the boys, most of the boys. I've met him a couple of times and spoke to him, but he's only been here since this year, hasn't he? So I've hardly been able to speak to him. So it's Berger, right? Okay, Sander Berge.
Yeah, Sander Berge. However it's pronounced, he clearly is a very formidable player. We didn't see the best of him to start with, which was perhaps understandable, but I think we are now. So how key is he to this season, do you feel? And he's playing in the role he seems to prefer now as well.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, if he plays like that second half performance against the team up the road,
the one you couldn't remember,
then you know, that'd be great for the club, great for the team, fabulous. I mean, he's got everything going for him. He's massive, isn't he? He's 6'5" apparently. He's, you know, you could see the turn of speed when he was going past people the other day, and that's not been noticeable so much perhaps, but what you can tell that he's got a lot to offer, and he's only a kid, you know, he's only a boy, and he don't look, I mean, 18, never mind 21 or 22, whatever he is, but he has got so much to offer, and he, you know, he can be the player for us this season.
You made a point earlier about him carrying the ball. Clearly something you like to see him do more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. You know, it's difficult for him. If your midfield players are getting it and they can turn, if they've got that 20 or 30 yards to run in, get running into it with the ball, because that'll bring somebody out. But it doesn't. it doesn't necessarily happen all the time because they're marking tight. So, you know, I can understand it being an old midfield. I am an old midfield player, yeah. How tough it is to be marked tight. You know, I mean, in my day, you know, if they had one or two men on me and I wasn't that influential in a game, you know, perhaps Curry doesn't fancy it today, or, you know, whatever. And but it's not always the case. When you're man-to-man marked, it's very difficult. So if he's got the space, let's get back to Sander. If he's got the space, or any of them, just run into it. I mean, look, Bash does his runs 3 or 4 times a game, and he runs about 60, 70 yards with a ball from his position. And if he's got the space, he runs into it, and it opens everything up. You know, and that bit of movement, that it's a shock to the system, to the defensive team, especially if one or two have been put out of position. Then they're chasing back, and then your back forward or five's got to come out and approach the player on the ball. So, you know, I'd like to see us do a lot more of that, especially Sander and Ollie, perhaps.
Yeah, well, he seems to have taken Ollie Norwood's place, didn't he, at the minute, which must be quite a tough call.
Well, apparently, you mentioned is that his best position? I don't know. I mean, I don't see why Sander can't do that from there and Ollie be playing in the middle of the park. You know, the more people we got that can handle the ball, i.e. control it and pass it in the team, the better. But, you know, you've got Flecky as well, that he's more power surging runs as well. Whereas he's been in and out, been injured and been ill and things like that. So we haven't seen the best of him lately. So, but
right.
Having said all that, you know, we're bottom of the league, no points, and we could have had 4 or 5. And look at West Ham; they win one game and they're 10th in the league. Not that matters. I mean, it's early days yet, but you know.
Okay, the importance of pace we'll come to it in a minute. I know it was a priority for Chris Wilder over the summer, and it has been even to this day as we speak. There's the pursuit going on of Rhian Brewster, the young Liverpool striker. We'll come to that in a moment, but first we must come to some really sad news, which I know, Tony, that you particularly share in. A shock piece of news and such a great loss, not only for the city of Sheffield, but for the sport of football and its place, its special place in Sheffield's football heritage. Viewers to this programme will know that Martin Westby has been a guest, a hugely entertaining guest, a fun character, besides the serious point that he's driven and tried to spearhead promoting Sheffield's unique place in sport. And very sadly, as many of you will know, Martin died last weekend, and for that our thoughts are with Martin's wife, his widow Judith, all the family, including his sister Ruth Carr, who I spoke to this week. And you can't overestimate the part that Martin, as a football historian and author, has played in trying to get this reluctant city of ours to shout louder about its sporting heritage. And I know that you as well, Tony, have had contact with the family, very recent as well.
Yeah, I did. He was, you know, really badly ill in hospital, and I did a video message for him, and I just managed to get it in time just before he actually died last week. So, but I got a smashing. I thanked him, first of all. I thanked him for all he'd done for Sheffield, the city of Sheffield, and things that he wrote about Sheffield United and stuff. But so I thanked him for that on behalf of everybody in Sheffield. And amongst other things. And I've met him a couple of times, and I got some great messages back from the family for doing that thing for him. So yeah, great man.
Indeed, Martin Westby will be sadly missed, but I'm sure his name will be long associated with the way that Sheffield celebrates its sporting and football in particular heritage. Sheffield United in the Premier League, which Martin would have been absolutely delighted about as a Blade supporter, and has been delighted about, particularly what we all saw last season. Very, very exciting. It's always about, Chris Wilder's done brilliantly at, relatively without a lot of money. I'm not saying he hasn't been supported by the board, because he certainly has, but in relative Premier League terms, he's not had a lot of money, and he's consistently, he and Paul Mitchell and the recruitment team have managed to earmark players from a league or even two below that they feel can develop. And that's been mostly the recruitment again this summer. At some point though, Tony, you kind of think that established players will have to be purchased somewhere down the line to maintain this level. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I should think so, but that's I'm not involved in any of that. But yeah, we do need to get a couple of extra quality players in to sustain our period in the Premier League, hoping that it's going to be forever, but you never know. But yeah, but thankfully that's nothing to do with me, so I'll leave that to Chris, and he's very able to do that. So, and he's got a great team around him.
Yeah. I mean, that's not in any way implied as a criticism of Prince Abdullah or the board, because I know that they're doing all that they can. I mean, he himself has been honest enough to say that for the next 2 or 3 years, the objective has to be to cement a place in the Premier League, and then hope the club can kick on financially at that point. But Brewster would be, and I speak here without knowledge of, when this programme goes out, hopefully there'll be some good news on that front, but he would seem to be a prestige catcher and a very exciting young player. I don't know how much you know about him.
No, I don't know anything about him, actually. I've not seen him play at all, so I can't comment on that one. But if Chris has it seems like he's been after him for quite a considerable amount of weeks. So obviously he's going to be a decent player for us.
Yeah, that's been an area of need, hasn't it? Up front, a little bit of zip.
Yeah. I suppose we're not as pacey up front as we perhaps as we could be. Yeah, but it don't always have to be pace. But the midfield, they could do. They have we got a dribbler in the team? I mean, a proper dribbler.
That's an old word. That's an old word.
No, I'm dribbling now. Yeah. Yeah. No, somebody who can go past somebody and put them out of the game. Like Sander did the other day. Brilliant. Like Flecky does with his surging runs. But we've missed it a bit in since the restart from the lockdown. So, and that'll come again. That'll come again. Perhaps we was caught cold from the lockdown. Who knows? Perhaps we've been a bit unlucky since the restart of this season. Like I said again, we could have had 4 to 5 points, but we haven't got any. But we've still got the same basis of the squad, and there's no reason why this team can't do what it did last season.
Yeah, fine margins certainly at the beginning of the season, as you pointed out earlier in appraising the 3 games so far. And it's strange, isn't it, that perhaps you'd have looked at those 3 games, Villa, Wolves and Leeds, and thought, well, there's an opportunity there for at least 4 points. And then you look
Well,
at,
that's it. Yeah.
you look at Arsenal, Fulham, Liverpool, and Manchester City, and you kind of think, well, in 3 of those games you might not get any, but football's strange like that, isn't it? And there's no such thing as, it seems to me, as a home or away game anymore. If you're facing Arsenal or Liverpool, or Man City, you've got as good a chance at Anfield as you have at Bramall Lane, kind of thing. No crowd.
Yeah, that's totally right, isn't it? It's it must be awful for the home teams because you haven't got that 30, 40, 50, 60,000 pound backing, have you? So
no,
it's all the crowd. So
it's all very odd. There are crowds. I should point out before we close the show that if you want to see or want to be part of a football crowd again, you can go to any one of our numerous non-league clubs. Good to see the National League, by the way, restarting this coming weekend without a crowd at this stage. But goodness me, get spectators in, because these clubs need it ultimately to survive. But I've seen games at Hallam, at Sandygate, 2-2 draw last week. It was a really good game. And also at Sheffield this week. They were beaten 3-0 by Stocksbridge Park Steels. But again, it was a bit closer than that. And both games had 200 to 300 people there. And it really is good. It's great and entertaining non-league football. Do recommend it. Meanwhile, this weekend, Sheffield Wednesday against QPR. Apologies to Owls fans. We will home in a little bit more on the Owls in future shows. They're home to QPR, as I say. I'll be doing that game for TalkSport. And then Arsenal v Sheffield United. Impossible to say how that will go, Tony, but your thoughts on that? Obviously, it's going to be quite challenging.
Yeah, but as I say, Arsenal are there to be beat. Like any teams are there to be beat. We did well against them twice last season, and as I said before in the programme, that we've never been disgraced by any team last season. So, there's always a chance of picking up the points, even though what you said, these next 4 games coming up, there's no reason why. I mean, look, West Ham 4, Wolves 0. Who would have predicted that? Who would have predicted Man City 2, Leicester 5? I mean, anybody can beat anybody in this game. I mean, I always go back to Wimbledon versus Liverpool at Wembley in the 1980 something final.
84, I think, or 5. 84 or 5.
I thought it was at the end of the year, whenever it was. But Liverpool won.
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon won. Liverpool 0.
Yeah.
Sunderland 2, Leeds 1. 1970 odd cup final. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, Ian Porterfield, a former Sheffield United manager, scored that goal, didn't he, for Sunderland?
Correct, he did.
Leeds United.
That's right.
Memories and memories. That was 2 years before the goal that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
75. Right, we seem to have covered a hell of a lot of ground there. And you pinged a fair few 40-yard passes, which I thought hit the mark there, Tony. As ever, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to talk to you on the show. Go well, and let's hope it's not long before you and many other people are back in our football grounds where you all belong. Meantime, thanks again, TC. Thank you for watching, and got another Blades legend, dare I say it, on the show next week. Do look out for that. Meantime, take care. Bye-bye.